As we welcome Mike Shildt to the program, we just had Katie Woo on with us, and I thought she said something that is very true, Skip. He said, fans always are critical of the manager when he's there, and then when he's gone,
they miss him.
They miss him a lot. And she said, yeah, there's a lot of that in St. Louis. They talk about Shilty. They miss him. Do you feel the love when you go back to St. Louis?
I actually felt it when I was there, too.
Good.
And, yeah, I mean, it's a very knowledgeable, passionate, historic fan base that, very rightfully takes their team very seriously, historic organization. And I was treated like gold. And, since I've left, that connection with a lot of people in the organization, but also just the fan base in general. And I see Cardinal fans all over the place, whether it's, different ballparks or obviously here, but even just in my travels, sometimes, people are just always really supportive and kind. So it means a lot.
Shilty, she also said in St. Louis right now, with everything that's kind of going on, that there's a little bit of Cardinal fatigue. And I thought to myself, I know that's been in San Diego before. It's certainly not here now. I mean, Petco Park, regardless of temperature or day of the week, is pretty full to the gills right now. And I know that means a lot to you guys and the team as well. But does that surprise you that Cardinal fans are just like, all right, we got to get this thing figured out. We got to get it figured out quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's, it's a hard question to really answer. I mean, there's probably a lot of things that go into fan base loyalty and support, and I just know I'm very grateful for what we have in San Diego, and I think it's the best thing going in the league right now. As far as the atmosphere and the passion, enthusiasm, and support for the Padres.
We are now, of course, 6 days away from the trade deadline. From your perspective, obviously, you're waiting to hear on any moves if they're made. But how does a manager deal with the clubhouse, during this week when it's got to be stressful for some players who hear their name and rumors? They try not to. I know they try to ignore it and just get down to business, but they're human beings at the end of the day, and that's stressful for families when they hear their names come up in rumors. How do you deal with that as a manager?
I think we got guys with our head on their shoulders and are professional, and I'm sure you just kind of encourage guys and make sure they know, hey, man, we're here together, and let's go play baseball. And these guys, I would like to think, know if they got something on their hearts that are really bothering them, that they need to get off, that they feel comfortable and confident that'll be heard and valued. So anyway, it's you just try to continue to create that environment that says, hey, let's go play baseball and let's enjoy each other and focus on what we can control, and that's today's game.
Talking to the skipper, Mike Shildt, here on Ben and Woods this morning, and Yu Darvish is like all of our favorite pitchers. We love
Right.
you. We respect him so much. Respect everything about him. Watching him scuffle a little bit last night, leaving some balls up, very hittable pitches. For you, did you see anything last night in Yu Darvish's? Because he looked pretty good and looked like he was building, towards getting back to being the dominant pitcher that he can be. For you, the skipper, last night, what did you see out of you, and what's your level of concern about him?
You kind of nailed it. We saw some really good things. We're seeing some positives, and he was able to get to two strikes a couple times. The walk to Scott with 2 outs. I mean, he could still get a hit. Obviously, got one later, but that walk opened up the 6-run inning. I just saw the spin good. The fastball execution and spin with 2 strikes just wasn't there as well as he would have liked, and made some pitches that they were able to put some, have good swings on. So, Contreras is first at bat, and it's just a matter of the consistency of quality of execution, and then that's the key to all the guys, and he just was able to execute, but the times he didn't, there was some traffic, and they made him pay.
Is it for a guy like you, Darvish, obviously, after coming back from injury and, is it more important today how he feels when he wakes up than the actual results of the game last night? Like, are you feeling good? Is your head right and all that? Because that's, it's pretty jarring to watch as a fan. I know it's pretty jarring to watch for Yu Darvish giving up 2 3-run homers with 2 outs. It got to be tough for a guy like that.
Yeah, I think it's more about how he physically feels. I mean, clearly and I won't speak for you, but you cares tremendously about this organization and his teammates. He wants to do well, for that group as much as he wants to do well for himself. I really truly believe that. This guy does have 203 professional wins.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's mentally going to be able to come back from it. So it's really just how physically he's able to recover and feel. That's one of the reasons that he is Yu Darvish, because he has been able to withstand the trials and tribulations that are a challenge at this level, regardless of here or Japan's big league level, and he's clearly been able to do that.
Mike, as for the offense, obviously good signs yesterday, a bunch of hits. Manny and Tatis both going out of the yard. And Manny said after the game, he feels like the offense starting to click a little bit more, but at the same time, there's still always those games, and I know you say a lot how difficult hitting is, and I totally understand that, but a lot of games with, the 2 runs, the 1 run that have continued throughout the season. And we had our roundtable yesterday, and we all agreed, like, we're kind of surprised. You see Tatis, Manny, I mean, all-stars, how good a season Sheets has had. Merrill's done really good things. Jake's had a good year. A rise is a rise. We look at this and we think this should be a top 10 offense in the league, and yet metrically it kind of is in the bottom 10 all year. Does that surprise you? And have you been able to put your kind of finger on, now that we're over 100 games in, where it's just not completely getting to where you want it to be?
Yeah, I think it all makes sense. I understand the question completely. And, we have high expectations out of that group. I mean, as you mentioned, I don't think you slid Bogey in there.
Yes, absolutely. We talked about him yesterday too. Yeah, he's been great.
Yeah, I'm sure, and it's, offenses are tricky, man, because, you can have, and I don't want to ever alibi, I also want to create some realism about the challenges of hitting, but I don't also want to alibi it says, oh, it's hard. We know it's okay. It's not our mentality. Our mentality is to compete and figure it out and get it done. And so, but we have had some, and again, injuries happen to every single club in this league. We've had a lot of these guys miss, and we've had some guys that, have not been as consistently good together. And, we've had guys that have been good. We recognize that. We've won games because of it. I do agree with Manny. I do feel like cumulatively, consistently, that the group of guys that you've mentioned are going to start to consistently have good at-bats and continue to do what we've done. I mean, right before the All-Star break, I felt that was happening. Right after the break in Washington, I felt like it was happening. We just, couldn't scratch enough consistently in Miami, but last night, posted 7 runs. So I do feel like it's really coming, in the last 3 weeks or so. And ultimately it's about the consistency of quality of the bat and what you're swinging at.
Yeah, no question. And with the at least the rumors of reinforcements on the way, potentially, right? Nobody knows what it takes 2 to tango, and you got to find the right deal that matches up for everybody. Maybe getting another bat in the lineup or another bench piece could help the offense turn around. We talked to Padres legend Greg Vaughn yesterday, Shildt, and he had come over from Milwaukee, had a bunch of bombs at the break, came over, new clubhouse, and he scuffled a little bit. So there's no guarantee of reinforcements coming in and pushing this offense to a top 10. But for you, what would you like to see? Maybe AJ Preller do at the deadline. What are you interested in?
I'm interested in the 26 guys we have in our clubhouse.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. We all have our jobs to do. AJ's excellent at his. We know. I have complete confidence in him. AJ's got, it's not as easy as the vacuum that we live in at the moment. It's a now, and it's a big picture, and it's a lot of different factors that, quite honestly, never having done the job, I don't even understand all of them. So I don't pretend to try. So I've been given the real blessing of managing the club that we have, and I love the club that we have, and we're going to continue to get the most out of what we do have, and that's all we can do. And I'm excited about the group we have, and however it changes, if it changes, then so be it.
Such a good diplomatic answer, in my opinion. Very, very good.
It's true.
It's true. I get it.
It's so 2 weeks ago, right before the break, you were on, and I, of course, was on vacation, but I was listening as Woods was interviewing you, and I absolutely loved when you guys were talking about Jackson Merrill, and he was kind of going through his struggles, but was kind of near the end of it, and now we've seen him start to break out of it, and I just can't tell you how much you kind of made me. I love that kid already. Like, love him even more and what he brings to the team. What are you kind of seeing with Jackson now as he is starting to look a little bit more like the Jackson from earlier this season and last year as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's you should love it. I mean, I get the privilege to. Everybody gets to see him. How Jackson plays is basically who Jackson is. So people do get to, and people, fans are smart. They know, and they can tell if a guy's genuine with his play and his actions, and also his words. And Jackson's just that. He's a very authentic young man that has a deep care and a concern for competition and the team, and all those things. And so, whenever guys struggle similar to the offense, you realize it's just gonna happen. I mean, I always feel like, not to get too philosophical, but always feel like baseball is a microcosm of life. And I don't know about your lives, but they're not always in a straight line. They can get messy and hard and challenging and frustrating, and you go ups and downs, and ultimately it's how you handle all those different things. Jackson's had a great support system through it, but ultimately Jackson's the one that pulls himself up from his bootstraps and says, you know what, I'm going to keep moving forward, because he knows he's a good player, and that's not conceited. That's just an inner confidence that's real, and he knows that, we know that. So you just ride it out. Sometimes you got to ride out life. And that's what he did, and he got back to being having some balls fall and getting back to his talent coming out. But he's a real treasure to work with, and a blessing to manage.
I got one more for you, Mike, before we let you go. And, as the manager, the gig. You're going to get questions after the fact about decisions. And recently, I've seen fans, I've seen reporters ask you, why did you pinch hit this guy versus that guy? And you said, I like the quality of his at-bats, even though they may not be resulting in hits. This is kind of the baseball 101 question for you. What do you describe as what are you looking for in a quality at bat without looking at the result, whether it's a home run or the guy may pop up to the catcher? When you see him go to the plate, what do you look for as a quality at bat?
First of all, I mean, the pitch hitting thing, it's fair. I mean, people, that's to open the conversation today about managers and thoughts and all that. But and that's the fun part, right? People get to have their opinions and thoughts, and so it's a good thing. And pitch innings, I mean, it's not this easy thing to roll out and do. But we'll answer your question about quality of bat. Are you, and in simplest terms, are you ready to hit? Are you prepared to know what you're going to see? And are you getting a good pitch to hit? And are you aware of the situation? If you're aware of the situation, you know what you're going to see. You've got intent in what you're looking to do, and you get a good pitch to hit, and you put a good swing on it. That's all we can ask of you. That's after that, like Trenton Brooks, pinch hit. Pardon me. A couple of times, and he's actually barreled a ball and lined out, or hit a ground ball with at 101 miles an hour. He's out. And you have a lot of at bats, and you look up and the numbers aren't great. And that can be frustrating for anybody, but it's all we can do, and so once that happens, that's all you can ask.
And conversely, I think you look at a guy like Luis Ariz, Skip, and I mean, just again, since he's come into the league, one of my favorite players to watch, and he'll sometimes swing at balls that probably make you want to pull your hair out, but he gets a knock on him. Sometimes he swings at balls that could have been ball four, and for you as a skipper with a guy like that's won batting titles and clearly knows how to handle a bat, how much managing do you have to do of Luis Ariz, or is he one of those guys that has your complete trust and know that, well, obviously he's prepared. Obviously he can do it. He's got a track record. But when he does expand the zone and it maybe doesn't work out, how difficult is that for you?
Not very difficult at all. I mean,
I kind of figured that would be your answer. It's Luis Ariz
at
the end of the day.
I get it. This is the part that I think people underappreciate significantly about this game. So, and I understand the question. I get it. In a moment as we get caught up in competition and people get excited and somebody chases out of zone, regardless of what it is. And you go, I don't know what you do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that's fair. That's the emotion coming out and that passion. And I love it. That's good. People are invested. I tend to be able to take a step back, and of course I care and invested emotionally. But that guy's won 3 straight batting titles. Yep. What am I going to say to him?
That's what I want to know. Is do you even say a word to him?
But this is the point of, and again, I get the question completely, but this is the part where, as I take a step back and try to be, even keel about it, that scratching my head like, it's still not enough. The guy's won a batting titles. It's still like, why is he doing like, they're not machines, they're just not. And so if we try to do something about it, and you were the best in the league at getting hits and leading the league in batting average, which for me still matters, and you had your manager come up to you and be like, every at bat, what would you do?
It's such a good point. It really is. And, I don't think people realize how easy it is to chase a pitch out of the zone at any level. And, for Luis, he's not where he's definitely wants to be, certainly, and where he's capable of being. But I mean, he's still Luis Ariz at the end of the day, and I think that's got to hold some weight. That's what I try to tell people too. The same thing is like there's certain guys that just get that trust to go out and do what they know how to do without much managing or tinkering with.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, I mean, if there was something there that was there, I promise you we would have talked about and addressed it. But we do our best, man.
Yep. And you always keep the humanity in the game, and I appreciate that about you. You never forget that they're real people. We do as fans sometimes, obviously, as we're watching on TV. It just doesn't feel like that, and you're always good at expressing that, I think, to Padres fans, the humanity of this game. Always appreciate you, Mike. Thanks so much for your time. We'll talk to you again. Good luck the rest of this trip. We'll see you back at Petco Park.
Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Enjoy your day.